welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to Manifest Your Soulmate. We are going to be taking an hour and going through the internal and the external processes of manifesting your soulmate. Now, there will be time at the end for questions, but I just want to dive right in. If you know me, I'm definitely someone who tends to dive right into things. I don't very much beat around the bush. So, I want to start with what is the actual definition of a soulmate? Because when we think of soulmate, there's lots of different definitions and there's lots of different ideas. And I've kind of come back to two definitions of what a soulmate is. So, the first definition I have is a person that is suited to another person. So, someone who is a close friend or a close romantic partner. The second definition I have is more spiritually rooted. So, it's someone who belongs to the same soul group, or it's someone who's been a part of your spiritual journey, part of your lifetime journey, part of the lifetimes that you've lived before, and you have a soul contract with each other. A lot of people ask me when it comes to manifesting soulmates, do we have multiple soulmates? And I fully believe that we do. I believe that we have multiple soulmates. The way I think about it is soulmates are seeds. You have these seeds that really thrive in certain climates, but the seeds that ultimately thrive into plants are the ones that you water and the ones you tend to. There are going to be people who are like seeds who are planted, they're in your life, they're around you, and they are naturally attuned to you. So they're naturally attuned to your soil. They are naturally attuned to the environment in which the two of you are together in. And you naturally jive with them and they're attracted to you. But however, if you don't nurture those relationships, if you don't pour love, if you don't pour connection, if you don't pour attention into those relationships, they're going to dwindle and they're not going to flourish. So that begs the question of how do we actually call those soulmates into our lives? How do we actually bring them into our being? Now, I think there are two parts to manifesting your soulmate. We have the internal part and we have the external part. And full disclaimer, I believe that the internal part is going to be the biggest part today, because when you take care of the internal, everything external becomes easier. When you open up, when you clear, where you clarify, everything else becomes easier and it's much easier to take the external action. So, what is the internal pieces? The internal pieces, the very first part is to manifesting your soulmate, is coming into being with that in which you truly are. It's coming into your soul essence. So I believe to manifest your soulmate, to manifest the person who is the right fit for you, you have to be who you really are. You have to be who you really are. You have to allow your being, your presence, your essence to shine, to expand, to take up space. Because if you're not being who you really are, then you're going to be magnetizing people who are not really a good fit for you and who aren't really the right person to go on your journey with you. They aren't really your soulmate. Oftentimes, as people, we think we need to constrict ourselves. We think we need to change ourselves in order to reach our soulmate. But our soulmates are looking for us. They're looking for our inherent us, our true us, the full essence of who we really are, our souls. And so, if we're trying to change our souls, our true expression, our being, our soulmates aren't going to be able to find us. So you have to tap into and fall in love with and own your true self, and then allow that true self to be expressed outwardly into the world so that your people can find you. And yes, romantic soulmate, but I'm also thinking soul community here. This goes past just a romantic soulmate. This is also for friends and for peers and for work opportunities and whatever comes your way. When you are living in your true soul expression and when you're allowing that to be expressed, people come to you. You are a magnet to those people. So when you fill yourself up with that in which you already are and then shine, you become a sort of North Star for people who are trying to magnetize someone just like you, AKA you. You're also able to tell a lot more quickly when someone isn't for you, when someone isn't a good fit for you. You're able to tap into yourself in a better way, tap into your intuition in a better way, tap into that North Star internally to guide you. So you're less confused, you're less spinning in the place of, is this person right fit? Is this right for me? Is this right for me? Is this right for me? You're allowed to ground You're able to come back to yourself and trust your intuition when you're tapped into your soul essence. Now, at one point in my life, I definitely had the thought of like, well, how the fuck am I supposed to know who I really am? Right? How am I supposed to know what my true essence is? And so I have a step by step process. I have 3 steps here to help ground into that, to help ground you into the essence of who you really are. Now, the first step I have is to follow the strings of pleasure. Follow the things that feel good to you. Follow your bliss, follow your passions, follow your interests, and notice when things don't feel good to you. Notice when something feels constrictive. Notice when something doesn't feel fun. Notice when something feels like you're doing it just because someone told you to do it at some point in your journey. In society, we have lots of pressures, we have lots of expectations on ourselves, and it kind of goes back to our changing of ourselves to manifest somebody. We think we have to change ourselves to manifest someone. We're taught to do that. We're taught to do that by our parents, by our family, by society. We are taught to change ourselves, to morph ourselves into different expressions, and it ends up feeling lost. It ends up feeling lost in like, well, how am I supposed to know who I am? Because I don't know who I am. I've been being all of these other people for other people, right? So when you come back, when you ask yourself the simple question of what do I feel pleasure from? What do I enjoy? What feels good to me? And when you follow those things, you tap back into yourself. The second step here is to notice the thoughts that come up for you when you do follow your bliss, when you do follow your passions, when you do follow what feels good to you. Do you feel wrong for doing it? Do you fear what other people may think? Or do you celebrate it? Do you amplify it? Do you lean into it? Do you look for other people who are on a similar journey to you, who enjoy similar things to you? And then the third is if you do notice the judgment come up, get curious about it. Don't judge yourself for it. Don't make yourself wrong. Don't go on this big story about it, but be curious about it. Ask yourself, is this going to serve me in expressing the fullness of who I really am? Or is this going to hold me back? Is this going to make me feel smaller? Is this going to take me one step further away from what it is that I truly am and who I really am and all that I am meant to be? So when you follow the strings of pleasure, when you notice the thoughts that come up, when you follow the strings of pleasure, and when you start to rewrite those stories, those thoughts, those beliefs, that's when we are able to really start to find our footing. It's the foundational work, it's the footing, it's what do I like, what do I enjoy? And that's the grounding work. And I say grounding work because it's part of the foundational work, but it's really to ground you. It's really to get you back in touch with your intuition and into the signals of this feels really good, this doesn't, this brings me pleasure, this brings me constriction. It's really to get that intuition cleared up, so when these questions come up of am I like this, do I like this, is this for me, is this path for me, the path of going into this job or having a relationship with this person, is this for me? You can start to listen to the signals of your body saying, this brings me joy, this makes me feel expansive, this allows me to feel more open, more pleasure, versus this feels constricting, this feels like it's not bringing me that joy, that expression, this feels like it's pulling me back even. So it tunes you into that internal compass and allows you to discern what personas are you putting on that feel like you versus don't feel like you. Now, the internal work as well is just as much like bringing into our mind and our body self love, those feelings of connection to self, learning about ourselves, stepping into our full expression. But it's also all the clearing out of what we are not, right? It's the clearing out of what we are not and magnifying all that we are. It's about releasing the internal judgments we hold on ourselves. It's about letting go of other people's expectations of us. It's about letting go of other people's judgment on us. It's about letting go of others people's perception of who we are meant to be and stepping into who we actually are. So don't make yourself wrong for any of the judgment that comes up because it's just frankly bound to. It's bound to based off of how we all have been raised to some degree. It's bound to based off of the opinions and the values that other people have held and do hold, and how they have used those values and those opinions to grow and to nurture us and mold us into people. So a lot of the judgment that comes through isn't inherently from you. It's actually from society. It is from how we are raised. It is from how we have been morphed as people. And just in the ways, that there might be some things that we don't like, there are also values that and expressions and things that we do like, right? So there's the yes and, but don't make yourself wrong for any of it. Just notice it and decide if it gets you closer to where you want to be as a person. Again, that discernment. Does this get me closer to that love, that joy, that bliss, that happiness, that fulfillment, or is this holding me back? Because when you start to notice those thought patterns, those belief patterns, you start to check in and really are able to start seeing, okay, I've been having all these thoughts about myself that I'm an awful person, that I'm not beautiful, that I'm not intelligent, that I'm not going to go anywhere, right? I've been holding on to all of these thoughts. And in looking for a partner, these thoughts keep coming up, keep coming up, keep coming up. And I keep spinning my wheels. And I keep staying here and I keep having these relationships drop in that aren't really for me, but it makes me feel loved for a little bit. And then I'm sad again because I'm trying to grasp for these relationships, and so I'm spinning my wheels again, and or I don't believe anyone's out there for me. And so I don't take any step. So if those thoughts are coming up, you can start to discern, oh, okay, I'm having these beliefs about myself. And I'm still where I'm at. I'm still spinning my wheels. I'm still pulling in, these people who aren't actually the fit that I want. Maybe it's time to change those beliefs. Maybe it's time to bring something else in. Maybe it's time to try something else on and see what paths can open up. I find that the mindset practices, if you've been in my world, or at least the coaching world to some degree, that word mindset has probably popped up. And if it hasn't, don't worry, I'll let you know a little bit more about what mindset is later on. But that mindset, that changing that mindset, is often the piece that people don't put enough weight on, don't put enough credit into. We think that we have to change our appearance or behave a certain way or come off a certain way. But it's so much of manifesting your soulmate is that internal job. It's checking, what is my belief system? What do I actually believe about myself? Am I giving the love to myself that I desire to receive from another person? Am I living in the vibration of love? Or am I living in the internal vibration of not enoughness? I'm not good enough. Because when you can only manifest that in which you are on a similar vibration with. And so we have the internal process, the releasing of everything that is not us and the embracing of everything that is our opportunity to get into that vibration of love so that we can magnetize that soulmate to us. And when you do start living in alignment with who you are, really celebrate that, because that's right there is the internal transformation. That is the positive reinforcement that your brain, that your body needs to keep going. And when you get into that different emotional vibration, that vibration of love, joy, internal ecstasy, and when that is transmuted out into the universe, when that starts, that love, that ecstasy, it starts to be reflected back to you in your experiences and your interactions with people. So if you want to attract love, if you want to attract the person who is perfect for you, then you have to be love, emute love, and be who you are. So while you are filling yourself back up with all of that you are, allowing your essence to come through, treating yourself with kindness, treating yourself with love, you are also releasing all that you are not. That self shame, that judgment. You're releasing the things you do because you have to, because you feel like that's what you're meant to do. You're releasing the things that don't bring you joy and sometimes bring you resentment and frustration because you want other people's approval or because you want someone to like you. Now, I find that people do so many things. Oh, I have my notes off to the side. I already talked about that. I'm going to move forward. So, I wanted to offer a question up here of just kind of going back to the start of our conversation of if you're compromising yourself. And I think this is just one of those kind of logical questions to ask. If you're compromising yourself, if you're changing yourself, if you're altering who you are, how are you going to find that someone who is perfect for you? And that's why the mindset and the emotional intelligence is so important. So getting into the mindset. If you've never heard of mindset before, mindset is the established beliefs, establish attitudes, thoughts, patterns, mind patterns that someone has. And emotional intelligence is the ability to be aware of, to control, and to express one's emotions. Now, we do not often, unless you're in a consistent daily practice, we do not often intentionally look at our mindset and our emotional intelligence. And because do not, we are not taught this, we are not raised in this habit. Because of this, the previous programmings often are the ones that have been playing. So the programs, the belief systems of no one is going to love me, I'm never going to find someone, I'm always going to be in shitty relationship, no one likes me. If that's the program that has been playing, unless you are aware of that and make steps to change that, that's going to be the program that will play out throughout the course of your life. Now, if you input a new program, if you input a new set of thoughts, a new set of ideas, and a new set of beliefs, while also regulating your emotions and being aware of the feelings that come up for you internally, then the new program that you're creating is what's going to be reflected in your life. So, how do we create that new program? The steps that I have here is to look at the end result that you want to create, AKA in this case, manifesting your soulmate, and what beliefs do you think you need to have in order to manifest your soulmate? After that first step, looking at that end result, write down what those beliefs are for you. Now, I'm going to give us a couple of moments here just to do that. You can write down just a couple of things that come through for you. And then I'll go into step 3. All right. Take a moment wherever you are. Feel free to continue on as I'm talking if you would like to. Um, but getting into step number 3. Step number 3 is really simple. It's teach yourself those thoughts. Now, I am going to demonstrate a couple of mindset practices for you to go forward and do that. But the one that is, I call it in my head stupid simple. I really, really encourage you to keep things as simple as possible because when they're simple, you actually do it. But this stupid simple mindset practice that I have is write those thoughts down on a sticky note. Stick those sticky notes around your house. Put them on your mirror when you're brushing your teeth. I often back in the day, I used to have an app on my phone that was a reminder app, and you could send yourself affirmations, and it would just randomly pop up on your iPhone throughout the day. So it's really good if you're just, doing that scroll in bed in the middle of the night. You have that affirmation of you are loved, you are light, you are the perfect fit for your soulmate, and he is on his way to you. Like whatever you're trying to teach yourself, whatever affirmation you have for yourself, having that just pop up on your screen is really, really lovely. So those are two things that you can do, but just seriously, like putting those thoughts around you, saying, journaling those thoughts and reading them to yourself, on a daily practice, getting those thoughts into your head. That simple practice, if you do it consistently, I swear it can change your life. Because when we have so many thoughts going on throughout the day. And if the line of thoughts is so deeply grooved into your brain, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're never going to get where you want to go. You're never going to find that person for you. No one's ever going to love you. Just getting those other thoughts into balance to teach your brain something different is going to create massive impact in how you feel and the actions that you take based off of how you feel and the behavior patterns that you then create from that and the life eventually that you lead. So just getting those thoughts in really does make a world of difference. I have a couple other mindset practices for us though. The better thinking, feeling thought. So when you are in the moment and you are noticing your brain coming up with all these things of no one's ever going to like me, right? No one's ever going to like me. If I have that thought, no one's ever going to like me, what is the better thinking, feeling thought? So what's the thought that feels a little bit better than no one's ever going to like me? So the thought that might feel a little bit better is, well, I have a cat and I think my cat likes me, even if it's just because I feed him. I still think he likes me, and from there it might get to, well, I have a couple friends. I have a couple friends. They ask me to go to the movies. You don't ask someone to go to the movies you don't like, right? So they must like me, and I have my mom, and yeah, your mom has to like you, but maybe she doesn't have to like you. Maybe she does actually like you, she likes me. So that's pretty good. And you know what? Like, I like me sometimes. I look in the mirror sometimes and I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I like how I look. I look pretty hot. I'm feeling pretty good about myself. And you just take it that step by step by step until you get into a better feeling, until you get into a better vibration about yourself. So that's one of those, again, like you have to be able to notice you're having thoughts. So building that awareness of your thoughts is super important. But once you have that thought in your head of like, oh, I'm not good enough, you catch it and you do the better thinking, feeling thought and allow it to fill your body. Now, the other practice I have for mindset, and I'll leave you this one, is thought flipping. So if you are new to mindset, try this on because I think you should try all of these on. This is the one that I would say takes a bit of getting used to because your brain's going to be like, that's a lie. Your brain's going to be like, that's not true. I would recommend starting with the better thinking, feeling thought, but thought flipping is when you write down all of the beliefs that are not feeling very good about yourself, about relationships, about manifesting your soulmate. You write them all down and then you flip it to the opposite thought. So, for example, if I write down, I'm never going to find my soulmate, I would flip that thought to finding my soulmate is inevitable. I mean, he's coming tomorrow, right? So you like flip that thought, you get it into your body. Again, it's about teaching your brain different ways to think. It's teaching your brain different beliefs. Now, again, I say that one is, I don't want to call it an advanced mindset practice because it's not that it is. It just takes, you have to be working with your brain for a little bit so that your brain doesn't go, oh, that's just a lie. What are you talking about? Right? So those are the three I'm going to leave you with for today. And of course, if you ever want more, you can reach out to me. I've got loads of mindset practices that I love talking about and I love passing out to people. But with that all being said, I'm going to go ahead and move us into the external pieces of manifesting your soulmate. So just a quick recap. The internal processes is really checking your belief system, really checking what you believe about relationships, believe about dating, believe about other people, believe about yourself. Asking yourself the question, is this helping me get closer to manifesting my soulmate, or is this holding me back? And then starting to change those thoughts, change those belief systems so that you can do the internal processes and magnetize that person in. So the external. Okay, so I'm going to tell a story. The biggest thing that I learned in manifesting my partner, who I deeply believe is a soulmate of mine, was the art of setting an intention and then being open. And so that's why I put the internal manifestation process first. That's why I talk about the self-love. That's why I talk about being in the essence of who you are, releasing who you are not. Because when we are who we are and when we love ourselves, our bodies, our minds, our spirits naturally feel more open. And when we are more open, it is easier for someone or something to come in and be in the space. When there's constriction, there's not much space. That's not much for the universe to put in this tiny grasp, right? But if I relax and if I open, now the universe can put many things in the palms of my hand. But we tend to, as people, block off opportunities before we even know it. And so that's why I want to talk about a little story time about my partner. My partner and I have been in a relationship officially for about 2.5 years now, but we've known each other for about 4 years, I think. And before that, I was doing the internal manifestation. I was doing the universe, please bring me my soulmate, universe, setting the intention, moving with the intention, setting crystal grids, putting intention sticky notes on my altar, meditating, movement, yoga, really all the things that I initially had known about manifestation. And then some. I was also acting in accordance with my intention. I was also on dating apps. I was also out meeting people. I was asking friends if they knew anyone who was single, and I was like, universe, for goodness sake, like, can I just have my soulmate already? I'm like, I'm done. I'm here. Can they fall out of the sky already? Like, I'm seriously done. And every time I was like, universe, my soulmate, where is he? The universe was like, hey, there's Nate. We brought him to you. And I'm like, no, 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 he must be this guy over here who's like ignoring my text messages and he doesn't call me ever. And no, he's the one. And they're like, no, 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 Nate's there. He's there. He replied to you like 2 minutes ago. What's the problem? There he is. And I'm like, no, 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 no. But no, universe, I need it to be this person. I really need that person over there, who I'm really, really attached to being my soulmate, even though he's shown me that he does not want to invest the time, energy into me. I really need that person over there to be my soulmate. And the universe is like, bitch, what more do you want? Like, he's there. You got to be open to it, girl. Like, do you want the soulmate or do you not? Because he's going to go away. Open up, release. And when I started to think about, the patterns in my life of when good people who shared my values, people who I had fulfilling conversations with, fulfilling engagement with. I was attracted to them. I wanted to be with them. They were so good. I knew they were good. I knew I could release into them. I knew I was safe with them. I knew we could create life together. I knew that we could have, passionate love making together. I knew all of those things. I constricted because it wasn't about the other person. It was about me. I didn't know how to let the good in. I didn't know how to let the love in. I was too focused on not being good enough, right? Go back to the internal work. I was too focused on changing myself. I was too focused on contorting myself so that that guy over there liked me and that maybe he would pay a bit more attention to me. I was so constricted that I couldn't be open to the possibility that the soulmate that I had been looking for, that I had been actively attracted to, and I liked and was friends with and shared values with and got on with so well, who was right in front of me, I had to open up in order to see, like, oh, right, got it. Okay. Yep. Got it, universe. I wasn't listening. I wasn't being open. And that's the thing. We do this so much in our lives. We say we're open to dating. I'm open to dating. I'll date. I'll date. Put me on a date. But I'm not going to do dating apps. Mm-mm. I'm open to dating. I'm open to dating, but I'm not going to go out with your brother. I'm open to dating, but I've been texting this guy and I just don't feel comfortable going to a restaurant. I don't know. There's just something about restaurants that I don't like. We find all of these excuses. We say we want a relationship, but we don't want to do the boundary setting, the raising of standards, the communication work to have the relationship. We say we want something, but when it comes to actually being open or taking initiative towards it, constriction. So much of this battle is the art of being open. It's the art of being open to possibility, open to opportunity. It's about being able to say, you know what, I'm going to be a bit bold. And I'm going to go out to my social circle. I'm going to say, hey, I'm ready to start dating. You know me. I'm looking for these types of things in a relationship, these values. Do you have anyone in your life that fits this? Do you think you could set me up on a date? It's being able to go out on social settings, going to the bar, going to a dance, or going to just walking on the beach and being open with your body and making eye contact with people. Okay, this is a side note, but one of the best pieces of flirting advice I have ever gotten in my life was so simple. It was, have you ever tried making eye contact with somebody and smiling? And I want you to think about that. How often nowadays do we look down on our phones? We're so uncomfortable with silence, with being out in public, with being by ourselves. We're so fidgety that we cut ourselves off. We don't even give ourselves the opportunity to be open and to look at people and to smile. So, how can you be open? How can you smile? How can you say hello? How can you be in your essence? How can you allow the self love internally to flow externally? How can you engage with people? How can you be playful with people? And then how can you let the universe do its thing? There's an acronym that I have for us here today, which is called HILA, and it stands for high intention, low, oh my goodness, the A slipped my mind. Basically, it's saying like high intention, but not being attached, low attachment, high intention, low attachment. So it's having the high intention for our soulmate, for someone who shares the same values, who's what we're looking for, who will help us to co create a beautiful life together. But it's not being attached to a particular person or finding a person in a particular way or having them look a particular way. So high intention, low attachment. I'm setting out the intention. I'm doing the internal. I'm doing the external. I'm being open, but I'm going to leave room for the universe to do its thing because the universe knows what's best for me. I'm going to see what happens. So part of the external as well is getting clear on the vision that what you want for yourself, what you want for your future, of what makes you who you are. And when you get clear on the vision of what you want in a relationship, the values that you want to share with your partner, the path, if you want kids, if you want a family, if you want to travel, if you want to stay put, getting clear on what life looks like. And then being able to communicate that and being able to embody that for yourself as well. So if you really want a partner who is good at communicating, are you a good communicator? If you really want a partner who is respectful of boundaries, do you respect boundaries? If you want a partner, who wants to have children with you, are you owning that you want to have children? Are you owning that, yeah, on the second date, and they ask you, do you want kids? You're like, yeah, I do. And that is a deal breaker for me. I'm having a pleasant time, but if you don't, and that's totally okay, that you don't, but it is something that I want. So maybe we don't progress this further. Having that vision for yourself and being able to lay out that vision for yourself is so helpful because it gives you clear direction on whether a relationship is in alignment with you or whether it is not. And it's not in a mean way, it's just in an honest way. And then this is one of those simple ones based off of your values, based off of your interests, based off of your soul essence, your expression. How can you create more opportunities to meet people who have similar interests or share similar values to you? How can you put yourself in a position to meet people who are like-minded? So often I find that people are afraid of going to events alone. And everyone can take things at their own place, but when you have the opportunity to go to an event, let's say something that's really you're really passionate about, you're really passionate about pottery, and there's this event of pottery that is happening, and you really, really want to go. But you're holding back, you're holding back because you would be going alone because you don't have anyone else in your life who is super into pottery at the moment, or your friends who you normally go to events with aren't free. How can you do the internal work to feel confident enough to give it a go, to go to that pottery event? And then how can you be open enough to make eye contact and smile with people and maybe ask someone how they're doing? And through asking someone how they are doing, how can you be open enough to having a conversation and seeing where it goes? We often take away opportunities to meet people. So, how can you either accept more opportunities to meet people, even if it might feel edgy, even if it might feel out of your comfort zone? And how can you create more opportunities to meet people so that you have the opportunity for your soulmate to be magnetized to you? Because you're showing up. You're showing up in your soul's essence, your expression, your light. And the people who are meant for you will be magnetized to that. And even on that event, right, even if you go to that event, and you don't necessarily meet your soulmate, but you meet a new friend, you don't know if that new friend doesn't have a cousin who is single and would be the perfect date for you. You just never know. So how can you play in the realm of possibility? How can you flirt with the potential that your soulmate is just around the corner? And you just have to be open. You just have to do the internal, the external manifestation processes and be open to receiving your soulmate. So that's all I have for us here tonight. If anybody has any questions, you're welcome to hop on in. And if not, that's absolutely fine as well. But we'll give it a little minute here if anyone has any questions. And you can also feel free to type in the chat box or come on, unmute yourself, whatever feels good. Yeah.
So thank you very much. That was very useful and informative. It's funny, the story that you shared about Nate, like I can definitely relate to this focusing so much on someone who's not available and then missing someone who is. And at the same time, I've also experienced a lot of not remembering my standards and then settling for something that actually didn't really feel good. And sometimes I wonder a bit, but I think it's just something intuitively to know, like, when is what's the case? How do you know what's now happened, But I guess it has to do with, I don't know, maybe also with the openness and trying, or I don't know. But yeah, what do you say?
Yeah, so let me reflect back and make sure I have the question correct. So is the question, how do I know if this person who I might have been missing is someone who could be a good fit for me or be my soulmate, versus am I lowering my standards and I'm settling? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'll say is the idea of settling. I have so I'm gonna talk about the idea of settling and kind of broad strokes in order to answer this question. I think the idea of settling has really been a new wave in our society. So
Mhm.
I have two brains on this. I have the yeah, totally hear you. Like, don't settle for less than you kind of like love and want and deserve for yourself. And also this idea of settling in society and how I actually think it's a shadow side of society that's popping up right now. Um, I think it's because of social media, of comparison, of hustle culture, of always chasing the next thing, and just that creation of uncertainty in ourselves, and always kind of striving for the next thing. So I would be aware. I would say from the culture side of things, being mindful of like, okay, am I questioning if I'm settling because I am dissatisfied in this current relationship, or in what I feel the potential for this relationship to be? Or is there a sense that I'm feeling pressure to have a partner who looks or behaves or is a certain way? So kind of like, for example, I'm just gonna pull an example out of the ether. There's this person in front of me, he's pleasant, he's kind, he's compassionate, he is driven, and also like he's kind of a little bit boring, like he's a lovely guy, he's fit, but I'm also kind of bored. And it's like, okay, so there's something in that chemistry, that doesn't excite you.
Mhm.
And it's like, cool, that's a value for you. And it's okay that that's a value for you. Someone could be a nice person, but like if there's a feeling of, oh, I'm settling, often it's because, okay, there's a value or something that I actually do need that I'm not getting in this relationship, you know? And Esther Perel talks about this a lot, but she talks about how in a relationship, you both need safety and spontaneity, right? And so, like in that example, there's a lot of safety, but there's not a lot of spark. There's not a lot of, ooh, like we're going, rock climbing off a mountain. How exciting. And then we might have some, sexy alone time around a rock, or, whatever it happens to be. So I think like when we're feeling like we're settling, it's either the way I determine it is, if you're feeling like one of your values is not being met, or or part of your vision for yourself is not being met in some way, then there might be a sense of settling there, right? There
Mhm.
might be a part of like, okay, I think I'm settling. But if there's a feeling of, pulling another example out of the ether, um, I'm seeing this guy, he's a great guy, he is kind, he's compassionate, but he doesn't have what I have grown up to believe is a good job. He doesn't make a lot of money. Is am I settling in that
Mhm.
way? Because I have this idea in my head from my family, from my culture, from my standards of living, or whatever it happens to be, that I'm supposed to be with a different kind of guy. I'm supposed to be with a guy who's a vice president at a company, or whatever it happens to be. Then I think that's more of the settling in terms of societal pressure, rather
Yeah.
than settling because of the person. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Thank
Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay. Is
thanks.
there any other questions or anything like that?
No, I think I'm good
Gorgeous.
for
Okay.
now.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Um, oh, okay. Nin asks, in my chat here, how do you know when you found your soulmate? Yeah, that's the question that everyone wants to know, right? Like, how do we know when we found our soulmate? So the way that I determine it is, when there's a couple different elements here. In my standpoint, it's the element of, there's deep love and care and affection, like you're in love with them, you have love with them, you have that uh whatever attraction you want to have with a person, you have that with them, but you also have the sharedness of values and vision for your future. So it's that yes, and I think oftentimes where people are kind of in the sway of, oh, have I found my soulmate, it's because there's either a sense of like I love this person, but it feels so hard. It feels like we can never talk to each other. It feels like we never want the same things. It feels like we are going in two completely different places. If we love each other though, we want to make it work. We want to stay together, but it just feels like a mess. That's one of those things where it's like, okay, there's some incompatibility there. And I personally would not say that that person is your soulmate. Doesn't mean that they don't have the potential to be, again, like watering seeds, going back to that analogy. They might, and it might feel hard to release that attachment because they might be a part of your soul family. But in this particular time and place, or in this lifetime, that's not what's meant to be. And when you have on the other side of the spectrum, right, you have like, oh, we have the same shared values, we want the same things, we have the same goals, but it's kind of boring, kind of like feel like there's not a lot of spark there, and we don't have that love connection. Then again, it's kind of disjointed in the other way. So I think that soulmate is that beautiful balance of both, where you both have that shared vision, that shared values between each other, but you also have that love, that depth, that fire, that connection. Does that answer your question? And I'll give you a second to type. I'll take a sip of my coffee. Okay, perfect. All right. All right. Well, if neither of you have any more questions, I think we'll go ahead and call it. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Thank you so, so, so much for joining me here tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for watching the replay. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Here at the end, I'm just going to take a moment to talk about my one-on-one coaching container. Of course, some of you already know about that, but if you don't know about that, um, uh, I do relationship one-on-one coaching. I have a couple of spaces open at the minute. What that looks like is we go on a journey of 3 months together. It's a beautiful journey. It's a deep journey where we explore everything in the realms of self-love and relationships and life. So we go through, if you're going through heartbreak at the moment, we talk about and work through the heartbreak, how to drop into deep self-love after the heartbreak, how to heal, how to move forward, how to find love again. And some people are more on that self-love journey, so like falling in love with themselves again, rewriting the stories that are holding themselves back so that they can have the life that they want and have the relationship that they want and reach the goals that they want. So if you are in the process of going through your own internal transformation and you want support on that journey, I do have a couple of one-on-one spaces open available right now, and you can just reach out to me. I'm happy to just have a conversation with you about them, explain a little bit more about what that looks like and what I do. And we can also just hop on a call and have a chat as well. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you.